Okay, this is going to be a quick video. This video is about accessibility and what can we do about it. Okay, there are a few tools and metrics to measure our app. One of them is Pagespeed Insights. It's a tool powered by Google. You may know it by different names like Google Lighthouse Score. When you give them your URL of, for example, let's enter a domain. It's going to run analysis of your website. It tracks your page speed, your first contentful paint, your largest contentful paint, your accessibility, and best practices. For example, I had this site where my initial launch of this website, my score would look like this. 60% on performance mark, accessibility is at 89%, 96 at best practices, and 80 at SEO. I'm not gonna talk about each one of them specifically, and probably I'll make a video out of it, but in today's video we're gonna talk about its accessibility and how can we improve accessibility in our websites. For example, there are a few metrics we can do and practices that we can write for better metric scores. Let's create a new component or just use a cleaner one. Okay, in here, let's wrap in div element. Okay, for example, here, if we wanna say we wanna add a picture or an image, would do something like this, and we give its URL, for example, something.com, and an alt tag. This is a picture of something. But when we hover over, image could result in slower LCP, which stands for largest contentful paint, and higher bandwidth. Consider using image from next image to automatically optimize images. This may incur additional usage or cost from your provider. Okay, it tells us this is an ESLint plugin, by the way, that is automatically configured when you install NextJS app. It is saying that we should use, it's an optional, not should, we can use image component rather than image built-in HTML tag. And for that, we have to use https something.com. What this actually does, it optimizes our caches images and pre-render stuff, and we have to provide an alt tag for this image. Same reason as the HTML one. If the data or the image doesn't get to load, we have to show another alternative text to describe that image. For example, this is a picture of something. This one also good for screen readers. Speaking of which, we must provide better fields and functionality. We must write semantic HTML. For example, when we had the error describing, we have to add these two fields. This is Next.js documentation, by the way. Aria described by it connects two divs together for more information, for giving out more information about this. For example, in here, we wanna aria described by name error, and in here let's create another div, wrap it in div aria. What was the name again? In here we have to give id aria live polite, aria atomic true. Okay, first of all, id name error, aria live. Tell screen readers to politely notice the user that this name is not correct and not valid, and aria atomic is true to read out the whole thing or just a fraction of the whole. You can also search for every aria class in here, MDN web docs, and look up. Notice other functionalities and tags and attributes that we can assign to an HTML. Back to the topic, this is also one of the things you can do to improve your accessibility. Remember, the images has to have alt attributes for alternating their text. And one of the other things to consider is using link from Next.js component instead of a HTML tag. So what this link does, it prefetches the data and it provides us with a lot of functionality, even though if we don't want to use any other a tag HTML as a link. And for the semantic HTML part, we have to use sections, paragraphs, footer, header. For example, when I describe my footer component in here, I use footer tag instead of a simple div. This footer tag better describe my content. You have to describe your content and what kind of content you're putting in an HTML file or putting in the component. This should be self-explanatory. Okay, this has been all the metrics, and I hope I covered like 80% of the accessibility tips and tricks. Let me know if you want extra or more information on how to improve your accessibility or other metrics. In the next video, we are going to talk about authentication in our app. I'll see you in the next one.